Hi, Terry here with Bead Addicts Yarn, and today we're going to be learning how to make our happy scrappy critters. These can be done probably with crochet, definitely by knitting on a with needles or on a knitting loom. This one I did on the Addy knitting machine, the Pro, the small machine, and so there's a lot of different ways you can make it. They are so cute, they are so squishy, and they just feel so good to pet. So I think they'll be a good hit with kids, especially if you do craft shows like I do. Actually, my granddaughter and I are making these and selling them and donating them, all the monies that we make from them, to help build a home for the less fortunate in Guatemala through our mission organization, Eternal Impact Missions. So you can check that out too. There'll be a link in the video and in the YouTube notes below. So let's get started. Let's go over the supplies, okay? Depending on how you are going to be making your little critter. The instructions that I'll be giving you are on the Addy knitting machine. Okay, so let's put her over here. Let's keep her in view here, okay? And don't mind the birds in the background. I was hoping they would be quiet, but as soon as they hear me talking, they start talking. So you'll need scissors and yarn, of course, and I just used regular worsted weight acrylic yarn and a needle. And then after you knit, I knit 40 rows on the Addy Express and just did a gathering bind off, and you'll see that in the video. But then after that, you're going to need little eyes, and I like these eyes. These are not the glue-on, they are the safety eyes that have the backs on them, and I will be making them available on my website, www.beadaddictsyarn.com, if you would like to order some, if you can't find them in your local craft store. And they come with the safety backs to go on the back. Okay, so this way they're not going to come off. They're great for selling items to small children. Don't have to worry about them coming off and swallowing issues. So you need 2 of them. And I use a 12mm safety eye for the nose. Now you can also, if you don't want to use these eyes, and you'll see at the end of the video how it looks with these kind of eyes, and then just with the button eyes. But if you're going to use just the button eyes, you'll need 2 of the 12mm and 1 9mm for the nose. Okay, you will also need a crochet hook of some sort to pull your yarn through in different portions of the video. And most important, this is a pet brush. You can get it in any of your Walmart or any pet stores. But it's the wire tine, and I think I paid like, it was just under $5 for it. So it's the wire tine, and you'll be using this to make your regular acrylic yarn fuzzy. And you will also need a little bit, not this much, probably about this much of polyfill to stuff inside. I also usually take, you'll get an accumulation of fuzz on here. I pull that off and stick it inside also. So let's get started on the video, and I hope you have fun enjoying it. Using normal worsted weight yarn, I begin with a 2-foot long tail, do a normal cast on, and knit 40 rows. After I knit 40 rows, I end with a drawstring cast off and a 2-foot tail. Now you want to cut a 10-inch piece of yarn from one of your tails and use that to create a third drawstring in the center of your tube as shown in the video. Next, we're going to start the shedding process. But first you want to make sure that you always keep your tail ends inside of the tube to avoid them from getting frayed along with the shedding. We're going to begin starting the shedding at one of the ends of the tube, but you're going to want to make sure that you do it gently when you begin, because if you do it too vigorously, you're going to start pulling your yarn out of place, and then your pattern's going to get all messed up. But if you start gently moving the shedder over the ends, you want to hold it a little taut so that it doesn't pull the actual yarn out. And if you don't hold it taut, you'll see what I mean. So continue with that, and as you can see, it's going to start shedding or fraying the yarn a little bit. And the more you do it, the more it's going to, the thicker it's going to get. As you can see, I take the tube and I kind of fold it over my finger to help give it a little bit of stability underneath in order to keep it from actually pulling on the yarn too much. And I know I've been calling it shedding, but it's actually fraying or fuzzing. So I'll try to remember to do that in the rest of the video to refer to it as fuzzing. So continue doing your whole project until it's all nice and fluffy. And like I said, if you do manage to create a hole, you can just take it, and because you've already put a drawstring through the center portion, that's going to protect your whole project from becoming unraveled. So if you just fold it in half or turn it inside out again and start the process all over again. The reason I like to make my tube twice as long is that by doing so, you don't need to worry about the stuffing or the polyfill showing through when you stuff it, and it just gives it a nicer, I think, a nicer feel and less chance of ruining your project if you do go a little bit too far. Once you have your tube pretty much fluffed, fuzzed, whatever we want to call it, and you only have to do half of it. You only have to do the outside half. You don't have to worry about the inside half. But once you have it all fluffed, you're going to want to go to your two raw ends, not the middle end, if you understand what I mean, and find your inside tail and pull that tight so that it cinches up, and then do the same with your outside tail so that you create a finished end to or that'll actually be the top of your little happy scrappy critter. Okay, so you're going to cinch them up and tie them off, holding both tail end pieces together. You're going to measure 12 inches and cut your yarn. Now we're going to work on some final grooming before we add the eyes and stuffing. Let's go over some options for our happy scrappy critters eyes and nose. My personal preference is these larger oval eyes and a 12mm eye for the nose. I'll also demonstrate how it looks with using the 12mm eyes for the eyes and a 9mm eye for the nose. Now that you have your eyes and nose in place, we're going to want to stuff our happy scrappy critter and finish off the bottom part. What I like to do is after I finish securing the eyes and the nose, I put my stuffing in and right before I cinch up the bottom of my Happy Scrappy critter, I like to tuck the extra fuzz or fur or whatever you want we're calling it. I like to tuck it inside. I just think it gives it a little bit of a nicer finish, but you can leave it hang out if you want. That's totally your option. And as you can see, I like to add some embellishments with all of my extra little pieces of yarn that are left over. I pull the tail from the bottom, I pull that through the back to make a little fluffy tail on my Happy Scrappy critter. And then I use the other little pieces to make some hair at the top, and you can do what you want with that. I sometimes put a bow on it or shape it into a mohawk or just some crazy hair. And then finish off by twisting the long tails that we left and making a loop to hold it by. I hope you have enjoyed learning how to make this with me, and I would appreciate any comments you have to the video. If you like it, click the like button and subscribe to our channel, because we have another one coming out that is called the Happy Scrappy Express.